This is the Microschool Minute, your weekly dose of microschooling news and events.
Class is back in session, and so are we. So welcome back. If you're new to the show, each week we dive into the latest headlines, trends, and stories shaping the world of personalized learning. And for our returning listeners and Microschool pioneers, a huge thank you for your continued support. Just like the first day of school, we've got a fresh start with a whole batch of news to unpack. So let's dive in.
The U.S. K-12 education landscape is undergoing a dramatic transformation, particularly in the realm of school choice policies. By early 2026, the system shows significant shifts in how education funding and access are being distributed across traditional public schools, private institutions, and alternative education models, with unprecedented changes in how families can access and utilize educational resources. A major development is the widespread adoption of universal private school choice programs, with 18 states now offering public funds for private education or homeschooling. This represents a remarkable acceleration, as all these universal programs were implemented in just the past 4 years. Texas exemplifies this trend with its ambitious $1 billion annual education savings account program, providing up to $10,500 per student and additional funding for students with disabilities. This aggressive expansion of choice programs represents one of the most significant shifts in American education policy in recent decades. The numbers tell a compelling story. Approximately 1.5 million students now participate in private school choice programs nationwide. While this marks a sharp increase from previous years, it's important to note that this still represents a relatively small portion of the nearly 50 million public school students in America. The landscape is set to evolve further with the 2025 introduction of a federal school choice tax credit program, which allows individuals to receive federal tax credits for donations to scholarship-granting organizations in participating states. This federal initiative is expected to significantly increase the resources available for private and non-traditional education options. Looking at specific state experiences, Arizona serves as a notable case study. As the first state to implement universal ESAs, their program now serves approximately 90,000 students and consumes about 10% of the state's education budget. Interestingly, most participants were already attending private schools before receiving ESAs, and the program tends to attract students from more affluent, higher-performing districts. The financial implications of these programs are beginning to emerge across multiple dimensions. While private school enrollment has grown more rapidly in states with expanded choice programs, particularly among smaller religious schools with lower tuition rates, the impact has been moderate. Tuition increases of 5 to 10% have been observed, though these changes appear more closely linked to pandemic-related inflation than choice programs themselves. Public school enrollment declines haven't been dramatic overall, but some districts are experiencing disproportionate losses that complicate budgeting and planning. The microschool sector adds another layer, introducing innovative approaches to education delivery. These alternative education models often emphasize different success metrics, focusing on student well-being, personal growth, and mastery rather than standardized test performance. The National Microschooling Center's emphasis on long-term sustainability, financial planning, and alternative success measures underscores the evolving landscape. Public opinion reveals strong parental interest in school choice options, particularly in states launching new programs. However, actual enrollment shifts have been more modest than expressed interest might suggest, indicating that practical constraints and uncertainty influence family decisions. This gap between interest and action highlights the complex factors families consider when making educational choices. The transition hasn't been without challenges and controversies. While overall public school enrollment hasn't seen dramatic declines, some districts are experiencing significant student losses, creating complications for budgeting and long-term planning. States like Mississippi and Indiana are currently debating more limited expansions of vouchers in charter schools, with supporters promoting flexibility and choice, while critics raise concerns about public school funding and oversight. These debates often center on finding the right balance between innovation and stability in the education system. The rapid expansion of school choice programs is creating a complex web of opportunities and challenges that extends beyond simple enrollment numbers. While these policies are becoming increasingly central to education reform efforts in many states, questions remain about their long-term effects on academic achievement, equity, and the sustainability of traditional public education. The system appears to be at a crucial juncture, balancing the promise of educational innovation with concerns about red tape, long-term impact, and sustainability. This evolving landscape suggests that the American education system is entering a new era, one where the traditional boundaries between public and private education are becoming increasingly fluid. As these programs continue to expand and mature, their impact on student outcomes, school funding, and educational equity will become clearer, helping to inform future policy decisions and shape the next generation of American education. The challenge for policymakers and educators will be to ensure that this expansion of choice serves to improve educational opportunities for all students while maintaining the essential infrastructure of public education that has long served as the foundation of American schooling. Now, at the federal level, the most significant development is the Federal Education Freedom Tax Credit established under Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act. This nationwide program allows individuals and corporations to donate up to $1,700 annually to scholarship organizations in exchange for dollar tax credits. These funds can support private school tuition, homeschooling, tutoring, and other educational expenses starting January 2027. The program requires states to formally opt in before implementation. 23 states, primarily Republican-led, have already opted into the program, including Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Texas, and Tennessee. Supporters frame this as a victory for parental choice and educational innovation, arguing that traditional public schools have failed many students. The program aims to foster improvement through competition by allowing education dollars to follow students rather than institutions. Democratic governors face a complex decision. While some feel pressure not to miss out on available funding, others worry about undermining public education. Colorado and North Carolina appear likely to participate, while Illinois and other blue states remain hesitant, citing concerns about transparency, accountability, and potential erosion of public education. The Treasury Department's forthcoming rules will significantly influence how states can allocate these funds between public and private uses. Congressional hearings during this year's National School Choice Week highlighted the ideological divide. Republican senators emphasized customization and parental empowerment, while critics like Senator Bernie Sanders warned about creating a two-tier education system, elite private options for wealthy families and underfunded public schools for everyone else. Opponents frequently cite evidence from states with large-scale voucher programs such as Arizona, pointing to increasing costs, school closures, and public funds being used for non-academic expenses. Florida exemplifies the school choice movement's momentum. Nearly half of Florida's K-12 students now participate in some form of choice program, whether through private schools, charters, virtual schools, or homeschooling. State leaders proudly position Florida as the national model for education freedom, citing rankings from conservative policy organizations and emphasizing universal eligibility. Mississippi presents an interesting case study in combining choice expansion with workforce innovation. The state opted into the federal tax credit while simultaneously advancing House Bill 2, which would expand state-level education savings accounts known as Magnolia Student Accounts. These accounts would allow up to 12,500 students to use public funds for private education starting in 2027 to 28. While critics argue the state lacks sufficient accountability mechanisms, supporters emphasize parental control. Mississippi is also launching the Excellence for All pilot program, allowing 5 to 10 school districts to redesign staffing models. High-performing teachers can take on paid coaching roles while remaining in the classroom, creating career advancement opportunities without forcing educators into administration. Early results from a similar pilot in Jackson Public Schools show promise in addressing burnout and shortages. Teacher workforce challenges persist nationwide, with states grappling with shortages, low morale, and limited professional growth opportunities. Many policymakers are exploring alternatives to across-the-board salary increases, such as staffing redesign, differentiated pay, and mentorship roles, particularly in fiscally constrained environments. Financial pressures loom large across the country. Colorado faces an $850 million budget shortfall that could impact education funding despite lawmakers' stated commitments. District leaders nationwide worry that expanding voucher and tax credit programs might further strain public school resources just as demands on schools continue to grow. These parallel developments highlight a fundamental tension in current education policy. While choice advocates emphasize market-based solutions and parental freedom, literacy reformers focus on improving instruction and early intervention within existing public systems that serve all students. The education landscape appears increasingly state-driven, ideologically polarized, and experimental. Supporters of school choice see current momentum as irreversible progress, while critics warn about long-term consequences for equity, public accountability, and system stability. Meanwhile, practical efforts to improve teaching conditions and student outcomes continue alongside these broader policy debates. This period represents a pivotal moment in American education history. States are fundamentally reconsidering how education is funded, who controls it, and what success looks like. While the long-term implications remain unclear, the scope and pace of change suggest American education is entering a decisive new chapter, with states reshaping education on multiple fronts simultaneously.
Thank you for tuning in to the Microschool Minute, your weekly review of microschooling news and events. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you've enjoyed this episode, consider leaving a review. Until next time, happy microschooling.